So is the punishment for saying that Inside Out 2 is better than the first one execution or
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Stars and Garters. I'm Katie Pettit, and I do have the first Top 10 Tuesday of the season. I've got a pretty exciting one for you. It's another Disney Top 10, but I am talking about an aspect that I haven't talked about as much, but, I have started to, really get into, well, not get into, but, get interested in just the voice acting behind stuff. So video games, movies, all of that thing. I've started to really like seeing the behind the scenes kind of that part of it, and it's really, really cool. And voice actors are incredibly talented, obviously. But I decided, since I've been getting into this and just thinking about it more when I watch movies, just seeing how incredible it is sometimes, that I would go ahead and make a top 10 voice acting performances in a Disney movie. So yeah. And I've also included some Pixar in there because they deserve to be on the list. And, I mean, there's Pixar is just too small, I guess, to have its own list for me personally. I don't think I could make the 10 from this. And also, again, the Pixar that is on here, I think, absolutely deserves to be on the list. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, number 10 is from a more recent Disney movie, indeed, but it, it's still good. I don't know what you want me to say about that. They're still talented voice actors. And I don't think I haven't heard as much talking about this specific performance, even any of the performances in this movie, maybe one, but it's not the one that's on my list. But I think it is a little bit, the voice acting specifically part of this movie is a little bit not as recognized, I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I just haven't looked in the right places. But at number 10, I have put Stephanie Beatriz as Mirabelle from Encanto. So, a big part of this for me was that my family kind of knows her from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where she plays this very tough, no-nonsense, and very deep-voiced for a woman character. And then Mirabelle is not quite that. She's supposed to be 15 years old, I believe. Very much more, just much more quirky and that kind of thing. Completely different character from the one that we know her from. And I didn't know her when I first watched the movie. I didn't know who Stephanie Beatriz was, and I didn't know anything about Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I didn't know about these things. But then I looked into them, and I've rewatched the movie since, and it's pretty incredible to me. I do think that Mirabelle is just closer to her natural voice than the character in Brooklyn Nine-Nine is, but still, it's just voice acting. She's able to play this incredibly peppy, not peppy, but very different character from the thing that she's more known. And just she's the main character, and she has all of these big important moments, and she obviously does them very well, very in character. She's very funny with all the little quirky stuff that they have Mirabelle do. She's very funny. She can sing as well, which is kind of funny in its own way. And she does this whole character really well, and it's really impressive just to be able to do those two very different characters, but also just in the voice acting, it's just her voice. And I wouldn't have guessed, if I had known her from before I saw Encanto, I wouldn't have guessed that it was her at all. But she does it very, very well, and it's very enjoyable to watch. She carries, the movie and leads the movie very well with all the things. And she's actually she has some really nice singing moments, not Idina Menzel, jaw dropping incredible moments, but she has some really nice like acting, I guess, singing moments, and she pulls it all off super well. So I thought that she deserved a spot on the list, and I feel like it should be talked about more than I see. But maybe it is. I hope it is because it's really cool. I mean, I feel like plenty of people talk about John Leguizamo. Is that how you say it? I have a terrible feeling I pronounced that wrong, but like I feel like people talk about him as Bruno more, which it was good. I feel like all the voice acting in this movie is really good though. But for her, it was just more like just the range that was revealed because of this that she has. But like especially only being able to use your voice to convey this kind of character is just really impressive. So yeah, number 10. Okay, so number 9, I have included a duo because first of all, I think they did equally well, and second of all, they're very connected. Their performances are very connected in the movie that they are in. Also, it is a Pixar and a more recent one, so I don't know what that does for your perception of it, but I'll just tell you that. And I did really already like these actors, and they were like maybe the main appeal of this movie to me, but you know what, like even though that was a factor, like they still delivered. And I mean it wasn't just because I like the actors that I like their performances, like they're still like genuinely really good performances. So at number 9, from the movie onward, I have Tom Holland and Chris Pratt as Ian and Barley Lightfoot. So I've only watched this movie one time. It was, I mean, I, I, I don't know. I don't feel like I have a very specific reason why I've only watched it one time. It is very heavy, but it's not like up heavy where I like do not want to watch it ever again because it destroyed my soul. It was just like very heavy and like emotional at some points, but like not in a traumatizing way. So I don't know why I haven't watched it more than once, but I do remember it very clearly. Like we all watched it, sat down together as a family and watched through it. So I remember it very clearly. And I mean, of course, I already like Tom Holland and Chris Pratt because of the MCU, and obviously they're incredible actors. Like, I don't think that's really a challenged thing, but obviously they play both of their roles separately very well. I mean, Tom Holland just has that voice, like he sounds so young, and so he is able to play the young and the young, I guess, nerdy and kind of more awkward, like less outgoing characters. He has a very good voice for that. He's able to sound very like charming, and you just want to root for him, but also like a little bit, I don't know, not like shy, but just like less outgoing, a little more uh, reserved, I guess, and not as boisterous characters like that. He has just like his voice just sounds like that naturally. I think the American accent that he does sound like that. His actual accent obviously sounds a lot more mature, but when he does that accent, it does sound very youthful, and he brings that energy obviously very well, and that's who Ian is, and he obviously does that so well. And then you have Chris Pratt as Barley, who's just complete opposite, very like outgoing, extroverted, super boisterous and loud, and just very different from Ian, and obviously he does that very well. Um, I think I don't know if Chris Pratt, I could describe him as naturally having that voice as much as Tom Holland does for Ian, but I mean, it's just like it is a lot of his natural voice, and but just like louder and more dramatic, and he does that super super well, and they both do that really well on their own. But then together they have a lot of chemistry when they work together. There's some behind the scenes like footage that you watch, and it's really fun. It's nice because they're just like going off of each other, like really getting the whole brothers thing down, and then like that helps for all the funny moments and all of the just seeing their separate personality moments, but also the more like emotional and important moments. It works really well because you've already seen like just the connection and the chemistry they have, and then it works to bring the deeper moments together, and it's already the connection is already established, so it makes it all the more like effective, I guess. So that was like there. I think if I were to rewatch the movie, which I'm sure I will, some point in my life in the future, I feel like just the main appeal of this movie is that performance, and all the performances are good, but it's just like the chemistry between those two and how important that chemistry like had to be for this movie, and they just like completely nailed it, completely delivered on that. That is just a huge draw of this movie to me. I believe this was one of my top Pixar movies, top 5, and I think their performance is a huge, huge, huge part of that. All right, moving on to number 8. I feel like plenty of people are gonna say I underranked this, I guess, like by a lot, and I understand that it's very iconic. But I've said before, it's just this franchise is just not it for me. I don't know why. I don't have any problem with it. It's just like does not do it for me. You know what I mean? I just am not as drawn into it as the other Pixar movies, and I just don't know why. But and I know how iconic this duo is, and I completely recognize that. And they absolutely crushed it in their roles. And so, even though I don't like this movie, the fact that I'm putting them on this list at all, should be pretty big, considering I don't actually even like the movie that they're in. So that should say something in and of itself. But my number 8, it is another duo, but it is the absolutely iconic duo of Tom Hanks as Woody and Tim Allen as Buzz in the Toy Story franchise. And I know I can hear you that like they should have been way, way higher than this, and I understand that. I understand how absolutely iconic they are, and that is something that I acknowledge. Just Toy Story doesn't do it for me. But a big, like, probably, I mean, definitely bigger than Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. Like, the chemistry between these two is insane. Like, they just go off each other when they're arguing, when they're like being friendly. Just all of the moments, it's just so much chemistry, and they're able to get you to feel whatever you're supposed to be feeling just like so easily because they just go work so well together and are able to just feed off each other. They have like similar like vibes, I guess, that they get from their characters. I mean, they both have very strong personalities, but all of the different aspects and where they clash is just they're able to work with those things so well and just bring it together to either be like super funny or great for the story or whatever it needs to be. And just all of the iconic lines that they deliver to each other is just all great and all things that I understand, even though I'm not a huge fan of Toy Story franchise. Just me personally, I'm not. I can still like the performances do crack me up, and they make me happy because they're just so funny and they work so well together. And they're both such like I feel like I don't even register as much in my brain when I think about this specific role they do. Like they're both well, I mean Tom Hanks is obviously incredibly iconic. And then I don't know if Tim Allen is much as much like iconic, but they're very like well-known actors, and I guess this role is like, they're just in this little Pixar movie, at least the first one, like obviously choosing now. But it's like Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, like these two very talented and known actors just being in this little Pixar movie thing, just I feel like that was such that's a bigger deal than I think about, because I just don't think of like either of them. I mean I know them from stuff, but I don't think like, oh yeah, put them in a Pixar movie and have them do the voice acting. But because I don't think that for every actor that is super talented, I don't think that naturally translates to like voice acting, because it's you can only use your voice to convey the emotion or the whatever you're trying to convey. And I think that I mean I wouldn't know, but I mean that has to be a lot harder than when you can use your entire body in different things. So but then they just like come in and they're exactly as iconic and talented as they were at normal acting. And I mean, I just don't think of it like when I watch Woody. It sometimes just doesn't even register that this is Tom Hanks or that like Buzz is Tim Allen. It's just like this is Woody and Buzz, and I think that says something really really good about their voice acting performances. That you, even though they're both very well known actors, you don't even think about like them in the performances because they're just being their characters and making it really really good and very enjoyable. So yeah, I know they're a little low, but that's just personally Toy Story. It doesn't always hit for me because I just don't personally enjoy them, but I have to acknowledge how iconic they are as like a duo, as the voice acting performance is just completely iconic, and I get that. So, yeah. All right, number 7. A lot of this is because of her singing performances, but I think that's important because you have to act when it's like a musical and the songs are a part of the story. You have to act in singing, which can be very difficult. But also, I think even though her singing is obviously incredible and probably the best part of it, she is very, very good at the acting part, just not singing as well. And I think she does well at that, even though we want to talk about the singing, which we should, because it's incredible. But at number 7, I have put Idina Menzel as Elsa in the Frozen series. Frozen. Well, is it? I don't know. I don't know how many movies, but I guess if there's more than one, it's a series. I don't know. In the Frozen movies, Idina Menzel is also. So, obviously, like, we have to acknowledge the singing. She is singing. I mean, she's Broadway, so I guess she's used to using her voice as like the main thing to carry along an acting performance, even though in Broadway as well you can use a lot of other things. But it's just the way she's singing these like impossible notes and incredible, just like the stuff that in a normal song would already be very hard, and also acting on top of it and like showing where the point in the story is and having to convey like specific and different emotions all throughout these songs is incredible. Obviously, and she does so well every single song, especially obviously Let It Go. Just like she is the reason these things are so popular, because she was able to convey exactly what emotion was supposed to happen in the song, and every lyric she sings it incredibly, just like musically it sounds great, but then like she also conveys exactly what Elsa is supposed to be feeling in that moment, which is has to be so difficult and is incredible talent from her as well. But also, just like the speaking part, just the acting part of it is obviously very important. And I think she just does almost just as well with the singing as she does with that. I mean, she is, I think that even if you didn't have all of the songs, you would still have a very, very good acting performance for her. And it is a little bit more, I don't know, I mean, Elsa's kind of dramatic for just in this movie she's a little bit dramatic, so a lot of her lines are very emotionally charged, very sad or very scared or very whatever Elsa is dealing with, because she's a little bit of a drama queen, and Idina Menzel does that very very well and just shows the character and like how she's definitely the more shy and reserved one, and then as she grows she's able to show all of that and just does it so so well, whether she's singing or just speaking. It's like consistently good from Idina Menzel. But of course the singing plays just a huge part, because I mean we could talk all day about how incredible that is. Like, Idina Menzel may not be human, but incredible on the singing and the acting part as well. All right, number 6 is it's so funny that this is on here in some ways, because I just didn't know anybody who was in this movie. I mean, I loved this movie for what it was before I knew any of the cast. Like, I mean, I loved it since I was a child, and like the first time I watched it, I just have always loved it. And like last year maybe was when I found out who was in this movie, and I mean, it just made me love it even more. But like the fact that I have loved it for so long and not even known who was in it. I feel like that's just a good thing on the voice actor's part. It's like it's kind of the thing with like Tom Hanks as Woody and Tim Allen as Buzz, where it's like these are very famous people, but you don't think of like, oh, this is the famous person when you see them act. It's just like, no, this is just the character. And the fact that I didn't even know who the voice actor was, just kind of makes the performance even better for me because I didn't have to know that they were a famous person for me to love the performance. It just kind of was a exciting extra fact when I learned who it was that did this performance. And also, everybody in this movie does a really, really, really awesome job. And again, it's crazy how actually like the amount of people that I actually would know in this movie. It's like it was very weird to me. I was like that is him? That is that person? It's crazy. But the role that I went with from this movie, even though I could have picked a lot of people, because again they're all incredible, but I picked Matthew Broderick as adult Simba from The Lion King. So I was just totally shocked when I found out that Matthew Broderick was in The Lion King at all, because that was Ferris Bueller. I'd only seen him in Ferris Bueller, by the way, but I just like I knew that name because Ferris Bueller, and I was like, what the heck is Ferris Bueller doing in my Disney movie? Which I'm pretty sure I've said that word for word on this podcast before, probably in my top 10 movies. But I was just so shocked. I was like, how is that the same person? How is this like because those are two very different roles, two very different movies, and that was just like totally. My brain was just like, how is that the same person, and how is it so good? Like how it was just like so disconnected, and I rewatched it, and I was just like the whole time I was like, how the heck is that Matthew Broderick? That doesn't make sense in my brain. My brain is like refusing to accept that because like Ferris Bueller is like just the opposite completely of a serious movie. I didn't even finish it, just for the record. I watched most of it, but we got cut off somewhere near the end of it. But like it's just so the opposite of a serious movie, and like The Lion King gets so deep and so dark and so heavy sometimes, so it was just completely disconnected for me. But like just rewatching it, he just does so incredibly at just showing all the stuff, because Simba is such like a like traumatized character in a lot of ways, and he has to do some like he has some like really big acting moments, just like hard stuff to act and just like really emotional stuff, and he just does it so well. And it's just the way that I mean just how different it is from what I knew about him, and just how incredible he did at it, and like even knowing who it was and feeling so like confused and surprised by this. I just rewatched and I was like, this makes no sense, but I like he's still doing an amazing job. Like I don't know how this is happening, but it is, and I love it. So yeah, that I mean, again, I could have chosen a lot of people, but since he has to lead the movie and the movie is about Simba and his adult life, there's like a lot more dramatic stuff. Also, Jonathan Taylor Thomas is young Simba, which is freaking crazy. Like I don't know what to say about that. But thankfully we're not talking about him, because I could say as much about being shocked that that was him as I am about Matthew Broderick. But anyway, like adult Simba just like has to carry so much of the movie and has to like really get you into the plot because it is about him, and he just does it so well, and it's so enjoyable. And it's part of the reason why I love this movie so much more than like any other Disney movie. So it has to be mentioned in here. So yeah, still crazy though. Sometimes I just can't like. I'm just like, I didn't know he could be deep. I didn't know he could sound that way. So that was pretty fun. Obviously, I don't know that much about Matthew Broderick. I just knew Ferris Bueller, so that's why it was so shocking. I'm sure that other people who knew more about him, just like, but just for me, just knowing Ferris Bueller, it was so crazy. Okay, moving on. This is the last Pixar movie on here. So, uh, yeah. Again, I don't know how we feel. I feel like there are some people who could make a whole list out of Pixar. I just couldn't. But this is the last picture on here. She is at number 5, bringing up the middle of the pack. But the best Pixar, gosh, I'm just really realizing how big of a claim this is. But I am going to say it. I think this is the best performance in a Pixar movie ever. Question mark. And I know that's a huge claim because this is a super recent movie, and many people liked the first one better. I think I very easily liked the second one better. And because it hit hard in so many ways, and Pixar had no right to do some of the things they did with this movie and be that correct for my brain. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a specific performance in this movie. And that specific performance at number 5 is Maya Hawke as Anxiety in Inside Out 2. Now, you could do a whole episode on how amazing the cast of Inside Out and Inside Out 2 is. Like, all of them. Amy Poehler, Phyllis Smith, Mindy Kaling, Bill Hader, and that guy that plays Anger that I can't remember his name, but he does really well too, and I feel bad about that, so sorry. And I don't know the girl who plays Riley. There's 2 different ones, but they both do amazing. And the whole cast is just incredible, obviously. Like, that is just a known thing. The actors are incredible, and then the people who replaced Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling also did a very good job in their own right. So, but and then all the other newcomers that had to play the new emotions. I said that weird. I said newcomers, but anyway, all the newcomers who had to play new emotions also did very well in their own right. But for me, just Maya Hawke as Anxiety was like, every time I watched it, which is 2 times, but still, it's just like more amazing. Like, just the stuff and how complicated that character was to play. And like, just playing an emotion is already crazy, but playing an emotion like anxiety is crazier because anxiety is wild. And just the fact that she had to do that at all is just crazy and already super difficult. But just the way this movie has that character be like kind of an antagonist, but also like very easy to see where they're coming from and not completely just being like a bad guy, just like being an antagonist, but like really not doing anything completely wrong at all. And you can completely see where she's coming from, and then having her like realize stuff at the end, and just like all of the complicated stuff that anxiety does. It was a really hard role to do, but then Maya Hawke just does it so well. And so this is probably the only role on this list who like I don't know who Maya Hawke is. I could not name another role that she has been in. I know that she is she's like a famous person. She would be considered a celebrity voice acting performance, I believe. But I do not know what the other things she has been in are. I have not seen her in anything. This is the first I know about her, which is very, like, it's a very good thing, because, like, not knowing who they are and still putting them on a list is, I think, for me, it's, like, a very noticeable thing, because I do, obviously, if I already love them, it's easier to put them on the list, and it's easier to like their voice acting, because I already like the actor. But I did not know anything about Maya Hawke. I do know about anxiety, familiar with that, and just the way that she pulled off this performance, every single line, just making it super funny and just like, but also very like true to what anxiety actually is, and every single like line that she says is incredible. And I'm kind of sad that I didn't do an episode on my review of Inside Out 2. I feel like I kind of still should, but I don't know if it could be that long, because it was just so good. I don't know how I can say anything. It was like, I do think it is better than the first one, because it was like intensely relatable for me. Like you you guys don't even understand. They had no right to create Lance/Blade. That was not okay, Pixar. And I the way I laughed louder than anybody else in the theater when that part. I was just like, dang it, Pixar, stop knowing things that exist in my brain. Like, stop being accurate. But this whole movie was amazing, and just her performance of anxiety is so incredible, and that's just a crazy character to even exist, and it must have been, again, just a difficult thing to portray as a character, but she did it so well, and is like probably the reason why this movie is so amazing. One of the reasons, but like a huge, huge, huge reason. So I did put her at only number 5, but like this movie is incredible. Okay, number 4. So I did an episode on my friend Judah's podcast, Trivia Radio, and I gave my list of my top 10 Disney characters of all time, which you should watch for sure. And I think that this acting performance might be the same place that the character was on my character list, which is interesting. I don't know what that means, but that's so weird. I think number 2 and number 1 are as well. Okay, that's interesting. Didn't think about that. Anyway, this is one of those performances. Again, it's similar to Maya Hawke. I don't know him from anything else but this movie, so that's a big plus. And the way that he like completely changed the character, just the behind the scenes knowledge of this character and this performance just makes it so much better, even though it's already amazing. So at number 4, I put James Woods as Hades from Hercules. So the thing about this, the big behind the scenes thing for me that I found out that made this so much better is that they had originally written Hades to be like your classic Disney villain. Super dramatic, dark, evil dude, wants to take over the world, is drama. And that's how they had him. But then like James Woods just came in and completely was like, actually, he's gonna be this like car salesman type of a character, just very charismatic and like snarky and quippy and witty, and you like almost want to root for him because he's just so hilarious and just like over everything, and he's more of like just done with everything than he is angry or like dramatic and rage or whatever. It's just like he's kind of done with everything, and he doesn't want to take over the world, but he's not like being all drama queen over it. You know, he's like, come on, just like, I want to take over the world. Let's just do it. I just want to do it. Like that kind of thing. And he's so funny. So freaking funny. And just the way that James Woods made that character has to give him a spot on the list. It's like, this is the reason why his character is so likable and so funny and amazing, is completely like indebted to James Woods. And just he brings that throughout every line in the movie. It's like he has his Disney villain moments where he does want to take over the world and do the thing with the Titans or whatever. I don't remember the Greek mythology stuff specifically, but like he wants to do the big Disney bad thing, and he does have those moments, and he's able to be, dramatic and villainous, but like still, even in those moments, he's just this very distinct character, and he's so snarky and over everything, and it's hilarious. It's perfect. It's just it's so funny. I think that's like him and Meg are like the biggest reasons that I like Hercules. I mean, like, I don't like separately particularly love the songs. The soundtrack is amazing. But like individually, I don't love the songs. The plot is not my favorite thing. The story, it doesn't hit that hard in a bunch of moments. But like those two characters, and especially Hades, like being the villain, just are a big reason why I really, really do love this movie a lot. And I think it's very underrated. It's so fun. It's a great movie. And James Woods as Hades is a huge, huge, huge part of that. So, yeah. Very deserved spot. Very underrated movie and performance. Alright, so number 3. This character also did happen to be on my top 10 characters list. He's a lot farther down as a character than he is as his voice acting performance, which is interesting. Because the character is kind of just one thing, and he's really, really good at this one thing, but he is just kind of this one thing. So, as a character, I do really like him, because again, he's really good at his one thing, but he's not going to be higher up on the list, because he's just that one thing. But the performance is, I mean, this guy, the guy who plays him, is just great, and and everybody loves him, and he's just great at what he does. Like, it's just, he has his sound, and he sounds like this, and it's able to be this type of character, and that's what he sounds like, and that's the kind of character he sounds like, and he just does it impeccably every time. So the character that I'm talking about at number 3 is Eddie Murphy as Mushu from the Mulan series? Question mark. So yeah, he's he's funny. He's a quippy, snarky dragon, and that's his bit. It's done to perfection, so that's why he's on my top 10 characters list. But it is just his one thing, so that's why he's not as high. But the performance, just the amount of energy and like the amount of character that he does bring to it, and just like he takes this one thing that this dragon is and he completely turns it up to 11, is just so incredible and so Eddie Murphy. Like, this is what he does when you give him this, like, the voice acting thing. Like, it's the same vibe as Donkey from Shrek. It's like he's a little bit one note, but like he's the best note. And it's so strong, and he does it so well, and just gives the most energy behind the performance, and just brings the most impact into all of his lines, and just makes everyone so much more funny than it would have been with anybody else because of the way he speaks. It's just, he has all of the energy, all of the exact vibes that Mushu is supposed to have. Just being this funny, quippy dude. Eddie Murphy just brings it completely, and just 110% just puts everything into every line. And it's so enjoyable. It's a huge part of the movie. Mulan is not on my top 10 movies list, but like a big reason when I watch it, when I enjoy it, is because of Mushu, and just hearing those lines and hearing him say those lines is just so enjoyable, and it's like so hard for it to not be funny. Like, Eddie Murphy, I don't know if he I don't know how he could have not done this role well. This role was like so made for him. It's just like this really funny, quippy little dragon guy, and Eddie Murphy was like, perfect. I will do that. Completely incredible, and he did, and it's exactly what you would expect from Eddie Murphy, just doing this kind of character. It's perfect, fits right in, and it's obviously so iconic. I think this is one that most people like very readily acknowledge when you think of like voice acting performances in Disney movies. It's like Eddie Murphy comes pretty quickly to mind if you know about these things. So, yeah. Alright, so for number 2, I do think I kind of cheated because I put an entire cast instead of just a one performance, but it's just like everybody in this cast is really on the same like performance level. Not one performance particularly sticks out, but in like the best way possible. It's not because everybody's performance is kind of like here, it's because everybody is performing at their absolute amazing best that they absolutely possibly could. And everybody is doing that. And there's not a single performance that doesn't completely nail their role. And so, like, I couldn't pick one. I was just like, I was like, okay, so this guy is amazing. This guy is also amazing. Oh, she's amazing too. Like, you had to put everybody here. So, at number 2, I've included The Emperor's New Groove cast. Just all of them. David Spade as Kuzco, John Goodman as Pacha. We have Eartha Kitt as Yzma. Oh, what's his name? Patrick Warburton, I believe, as Kronk. Kronk is incredible. Kronk was my number 2 character on my Disney characters list, which is kind of funny. Kronk is incredible again. And just like every other character. I know I'm forgetting someone. I feel like I had somebody else in mind, but just like, if I am, just if there's a character that I haven't mentioned, just know that I think they did amazing as well. Just everybody did so it's like this movie would not like be anything without them. Like that's not a fault of like the story or anything like that. I'm just saying like the way this movie is kind of such, what do you call it when like an underrated movie becomes like wildly popular among like the people who know it. It's like not everybody knows it, but the people who do, they just like absolutely love it and want everybody to know it. I don't know what the term is for that, but it wouldn't be that kind of movie without this cast because there has to be something that's like incredible about this movie. And like, the story is good, and all of it's like there's nothing wrong with the story. It's pretty good in its own right. And but like it's not incredible, but the cast is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's they do everything exactly what they were supposed to do. Um I mean, David Spade, already love David Spade. He has his vibe that he does, and he does it to perfection, and it's just he's so funny. It's like it's like he's not silly, but he like sounds silly. In this performance. Like he sounds very silly, and he's like Cusco's a silly kid. He's a goober, and he's a little bit stupid, but he's also like so witty, and his all like he has these lines that are just so smartly funny, and he delivers all of them so well, and he just has the greatest vibe throughout this entire performance. I mean, John Goodman as Pacha, also again, like all the characters have hilarious moments. He does those so well, but Pacha has a completely different vibe. He's just like warm, fuzzy feelings, great dude vibe is what Pacha is, and John Goodman has that. He's very warm and fuzzy feelings with his voice, and he did that super well. And him and David Spade had a lot of chemistry as well. Kronk is incredible, and I could talk as long as I want to about Kronk. Just Kronk is so much of why this movie is amazing. Just like, and if it wasn't Patrick Warburton, just like the ultimate Chad voice saying the stupidest freaking things or the funniest things, or just like speaking chipmunk language, just like it. I don't think it would be the same. There's no way it could be the same. Just this giant Chad, completely Chad voice saying these ridiculous and amazing things. It's so perfect. And then you have Yzma, who's played by Eartha Kitt. I don't really know Eartha Kitt that well. I mean, like after I found out she was in The Emerson Groove and played Yzma, and I looked her up, I found some interesting things. I believe she sings the original version of Santa Baby, I believe is the title, which do with that what you will. That's quite an interesting song, and you know what? We don't need to really focus on that part. And she also played Catwoman in like that old 60s, I guess, Adam West Batman show, which is kind of hilarious. I kind of remember that, and it was pretty funny. But anyway, as Yzma, just like this crazy like psychotic tone that she has to have, like it's I'm not gonna say grating. It's not like her voice is unpleasant to listen to, but it's just like this quality where it sounds like she's just this psychopath, and she screams a lot, and she is like very she's just this crazy and like determined on this one thing, and irritable, and just crazy woman. And just Eartha Kitt is like, yeah, that's exactly that's exactly what she does. One of my favorite things that I learned about this movie was that at one point when she turns into a cat, when Yuzo turns into a cat, and her voice changes, she's like, "Is that my voice? Is that my voice?" And so I believe that I learned that that line, "Is that my voice?" was genuinely just Eartha Kitt's reaction to hearing her voice pitched up like that. Like that was not in the script. Like genuinely, she was like, "That? All right, that is weird. Let's go." And that is just so fun. I love that fact. It makes me very happy. Uh, but yeah, just the way they have their very distinct characters. They're all hilarious characters, and they all come together to make a very hilarious movie. But they're all very distinct characters that have their thing, and just everyone in this movie just completely brings it and does it exactly the way they're supposed to, and then some. It's just like the main reason why this movie is so incredible, because this cast is freaking incredible and so funny. Just incredible. This movie is amazing, and they are the reason why. Absolutely 100%. So the entire Emperor's New Groove cast, yes, they share one spot because they're all equally incredible. But who could beat out an entire cast of people who is the one person who has beat the combined efforts of David Spade, John Goodman, Eartha Kitt, and Patrick Warburton? Who is that incredible person? Well, they are a legend. They're a comedy legend, and just a legend in general, in all things. Absolutely. Not just in voice acting, just like a legend for everything that they do. They are my favorite Disney character of all time, which does help, admittedly. They have one of my favorite Disney songs of all time, and they are like the best part of this movie, but just and their character was like made by them, and it would not be anywhere near the same if it was done by anybody else, which it has been. And guess what? It wasn't the same. But that's okay, I guess. But who else could I be talking about? But at number one, Robin Williams as the genie. Just, there is no other Disney performance, like, fight me on this. There is no other Disney performance that is more iconic than Robin Williams as the genie. Show me one. I dare you. I double dog dare you. There's no performance that is iconic as Robin Williams as the genie. Just the big thing, the way he just completely went off behind the mic and said all of these crazy things, and just was like not even caring about what the script said and still just being completely there, like moving the story along, and completely still being in character as the genie, doing what he was supposed to do, but just being able to completely improvise everything and just like come up with all these iconic lines all by himself from like his own mind, just like knowing who the genie is and being completely in that character and doing that just is incredible and so iconic. Friend Like Me and Prince Ali are both great songs in their own right, but particularly Friend Like Me is the one that I love. Just like him, like not even being the most incredible singer, but just like you can hear him. It's so hard not to enjoy the performance because you can hear him just having an absolute blast behind the mic. Just you can hear how much fun he's having, and I don't understand how you would have to force yourself to not also have as much fun as that. Just I don't know how you would do it. I'm sure there are some people who do, but for me, it's basically impossible because he just sounds like he's having an absolute blast, and so I am too, And just everything he says, even like Genie does get some more deeper emotional moments. He's not always, funny guy. I mean, he's mostly that. He's Disney sidekick, but like he does get some more emotional moments, and Robin Williams does those just as well as he does the funny moments, honestly. But it's just I just don't know. I just don't know how you find a more iconic performance in a Disney movie. Just the way there's like the quality of what he did is like impossible to reproduce. And I don't know how you do that. Like you can have your incredible voice acting performances, like all of the ones on this list were, but you can't have Robin Williams as the genie ever again. It's like that was a one-time thing, and it's still incredible and still a blast to listen to and watch and enjoy. So, yeah. That's it. Number one, Robin Williams as the genie. Shocker, I know. But thank you for listening. Definitely tell me who you think is the best voice acting performance if I missed any. If you think somebody else from the movies that I listed did better than the particular actor I chose, definitely say that. So just comment, say things. I like it when you do that. That's fun. So, yeah. I will see you guys after the next time. Make sure to share and subscribe and follow and do all the other things that you know you're supposed to do. So, yeah. Goodbye.
Soundstripe.